Hey there, Carnage Cravers! Welcome back to Carnage Corner. I know I kind of took the holidays off on you. I apologize for that. It was a little crazy. Finding the time to actually watch wrestling, yet alone talk about wrestling, was a massive pain in the posterior. So, that being said, this week on NXT, they're apparently doing a look back on the year that was 2017. And being they're doing a look back on the year, well, that allows me to spend a little more time looking back on the week that was the first week in 2018. So, that being said, we're going to start with Monday Night Raw. Raw opened up. Alexa Bliss runs up to Kurt Angle backstage to try and beg her way out of a match with Asuka. Why, you may ask? Well, because the week beforehand, Asuka introduced Alexa's bicuspids to the nosebleed section with a stiff kick across the jaw. So, that being said, Kurt told Alexa, no, you're not getting out of this. And Kurt then goes out to address the WWE Universe. He talks about the Royal Rumble. And while he's talking about the Royal Rumble, the Bar comes out and interrupts him. Now, the Bar has a beef. Some might say that he has a legitimate beef. Maybe. Well, what we'll say about this is the Bar says that, well, first off, last week the Bar lost their Raw Tag Team Championships to the thrown together team of Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan. Now, what the Bar says is that it's unprecedented, it's never happened, and it shouldn't happen for a first time teaming together team to get a shot at the Tag Team Championships. While they may be right that maybe it shouldn't happen, I take umbrage with the fact that they say that it has never happened, because in fact it has. Matter of fact, if you go back well over a decade, which I know is a long time for some people, but going back there used to be a pay-per-view called Cyber Sunday. And before that it was called Taboo Tuesday, because for whatever reason, Vince thought it might be a good idea to do a pay-per-view on Tuesday. It was a bad idea, but the pay-per-view idea was good, because people got to vote. So, and in one particular match, they got to vote who would be Ric Flair's tag team partner. And they voted Rowdy Roddy Piper. So, and Piper and Flair won the WWE Tag Team Championships that night, making them a thrown-together team that did, in fact, win the WWE Tag Team titles. So, while the Bar may not be happy about it, they can't say that it's never happened before. But while they were stating their case, Jason Jordan comes out to puff up his chest and show off for Daddy. And, you know, he gets himself a match with Cesaro. And then Seth Rollins comes out and tells Jordan, what the hell are you doing? What happens to you affects me. You got a lot to learn about being a teammate. And so Seth is in Jordan's corner for the match. So, Cesaro and Jordan have a great match. They do. They have a really, really good match. Cesaro attacks Jordan before the match actually gets underway. And the two of them, you know, both of them are very technical, very powerful, and, you know, very, very good. I mean, both of them are lacking a little bit in the personality department, but as far as in-ring prowess and technical ability, they're both top-notch. So, that being said, they had a fantastic match, which Jordan did win. Jordan picked up the win All right, and then the next place we went to was an interview with Roman Reigns. And Roman has had a Intercontinental Championship match with Samoa Joe that night. And because Roman got himself disqualified the week before, the stipulation was that if Roman got disqualified, he would lose his Intercontinental Championship. So they were asking him if he was concerned, and of course he says that he was not. Moving on from there, we then get Nia Jax rushing towards the door with a bowl of chicken soup, and Alexa runs up to Nia because she wants help, she needs help, but Nia's apparently has to go to the hospital because Enzo is sick with the flu and she wants to bring him chicken soup, which, I'm sorry, this is this whole Nia Jax Enzo Amore thing is laughable. I mean, Enzo is roughly the size of Nia's breakfast. I haven't seen... This is one of the most mismatched pairs I've seen, romantic pairs I've seen, since I had the misfortune of sitting through that Eddie Murphy movie, Norbit. I mean, this is just horrid. Horribly stupid. But Nia runs off to her her little pet chihuahua, who's sick in the hospital, and leaves Alexa to deal with Asuka on her own. So, we go into the match. Alexa Bliss versus Asuka. I'm sure it's not a surprise to you that Asuka wins. It was a good match, though. You know, I see a lot of people in the chat rooms and the online and everything else talk about how Alexa Bliss is horrible in the ring. Okay, first off, Alexa's not horrible in the ring. She's not an Asuka, no. She's not a Becky Lynch, no. Okay, she's not a Natalya. I hate Natalya, but she is good in the ring. Okay, she's not any of them. Okay, she's not a Lita. She's not an AJ Lee. You know what she is, though? You know what she does remind me of? A young Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus was garbage in the beginning. And she learned. Trish Stratus went from valet to performer to champion to considered one of the, I won't say one of the best ever. Well, some might consider her one of the best ever, but one of the most popular ever, who could put on a damn good match. Alexa's running in that vein because she too started as a valet. She too has worked hard to get better and has greatly improved. If you've been watching her from the beginning, she's worlds better today than she was when she debuted in NXT. So this idea that, you know, she's only there because of the way she looks or anything else, or she's only getting the push because of her looks, it's not true. She's working hard, and while her ring skills catch up, she has a character that is very easy to dislike. And that's why she's a heel. So, guys, calm down a little bit, okay? It is, believe it or not, it is possible to like both types of performer. You can like the performer that's better on the mic than they are in the ring, and you can like the performer that's better in the ring than they are on the mic. Okay? My only problem comes in when the person who... Being better on the mic than you are in the ring is one thing, but being gold on the mic does not make up for having no ring ability whatsoever, which is apparently what we ended up with Enzo Amore, but that's a completely different situation. I mean... In either case, Asuka wins the match. Good match. Great match. I'd watch that one again any day. We then went into an interview with Samoa Joe. Renee Young interviewing Samoa Joe. Oh, and this popped me because Joe went off. Joe, hop in the chat section. Let me know. Am I the only one who thinks that when they listen to Samoa Joe talk, they get reminded of, ECW era Taz? Just the comparison there, the way they give a promo, the way they talk. There's a huge comparison there in my mind. But Joe had me rolling on the floor. For those of you who do not know, well, I'll get to that in a moment. So Joe goes on to say, because she asks him if he's worried about Roman Reigns. And he says, no, I own Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has never beaten me. Talks about how he systematically took the Shield apart. He wrecked Seth Rollins' knee. He turns to Renee and he says, least you forget, I'm the reason why Dean Ambrose is now a stay-at-home husband living off his wife's paycheck. For those of you who don't realize it, Renee Young is Dean Ambrose's wife. I was dying. This was hilarious. Especially with the look on Renee's face, because she obviously did not know that was coming. So that being said, Joe really popped me there, but even down to the last line he said, because he said, Roman Reigns is going to learn it may be his yard, but he's in my world. And just great wording. I mean, we've heard people use lines like this before. It's not it's nothing new. But when used well, it really, really works. So, that being said, we can then move on to, we get Braun versus Rhino, which ultimately ended up turning into Braun versus Rhino and Slater, which Braun wins, spoiler alert, it's not a surprise. But after the match, Slater gets the big idea to attack Braun after the match, which, I mean, Slater, stop. Okay? You are really perpetrating the stereotype that people from the South are dumb. You're not helping. You're not being a good representative of the South when you do things like attack a damn near 400-pound monster that just manhandled your partner who outweighs you by nearly 100 pounds. Dummy. No. Just no. Oh, God. So, from there we moved into the Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins in the locker room. And they're having a conversation. Seth wants to make sure that Roman isn't going to, get too emotional and get himself disqualified. Seth doesn't want to see Roman lose his Intercontinental Championship. And, Roman's telling him, no, I'll be fine. And in walks Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan walks in and starts talking to them, like, reassuring Roman Reigns that, we've got your back. And Jordan, you're not part of the Shield, man. You're not. You're coming off like that, you're coming off like that kid. You know that kid on the playground nobody wants to actually play with, but he keeps trying to insert himself in everything. Like, every time y'all start a game, he like tries to put himself in the middle of it, even though none of you want him around. That's what Jason Jordan's doing. It's super annoying. So, in either case, we then go backstage again with Braun Strowman walking up on Kane. And Kane wants to create an alliance with Strowman so they can take out Lesnar. And Braun basically tells Kane to sit and twirl because he's the alpha monster and he doesn't need anybody's help. So we then from there went to Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle was in his office area talking to Finn Balor, and Finn had gotten himself a couple of partners for his 6-man tag team match that night. Finn needed partners to take on Elias and the Miztourage. Came up with the Club, Gallows and Anderson. And for those of you who may or may not know, this was I want to say the original incarnation of the Bullet Club was these three individuals. So, this is something that the WWE Universe has been clamoring for a long, long time. Why it took them like 2.5 years to actually give it to us, who the hell knows? But they did give it to us. Although I will say that it was, well, I'll get to the match in a minute. So we go from them backstage to Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe. So, great match. I will say this much: Joe can have a great match with anybody, but he really does manage to get a good performance out of Roman, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do. So that being said, they had a good match, and Roman wins the match. So even though Roman wins the match, I still am supremely confident that it will be Roman Reigns. It will be Samoa Joe who drops the title. It will be Samoa Joe that Roman Reigns drops the title to, and I believe it will be at the Royal Rumble. That is what I think, and the reason I think that is because Joe beating Roman at the Royal Rumble will turn around and make it so that they have time to build Joe right. They have time to build Roman back up in strength by the time he takes on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So now, one thing I don't want them to do is I do not want them to have Joe win the Royal Rumble again. The reason I say that is because there are other ways you can get Roman to be the #1 contender. You don't need to have him win the Rumble. I think the Rumble should be won by Shinsuke Nakamura so that we can get Shinsuke versus AJ at WrestleMania. And I would argue that people are far more likely to be happy with that match than they will be with Lesnar versus Roman again. You know, WWE is like that. Sometimes WWE booking is like going to Thanksgiving at your in-laws' house. They can't cook to save their lives, but you keep asking for more because you don't want to be rude. So, maybe your in-laws can cook. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your family that are the in-laws that can't cook. I don't know. I refrain from judgment. I'm just saying. It's like, you know, it's like they just keep trying to feed you this crap that isn't good and you don't want it. So, and at some point you finally have to be like, oh no, I'm full. I'm sorry. I've had my fill of crap. Thank you. So, from there we're gonna move on. As I said, Roman wins. We then go backstage to Kurt Angle and Paul Heyman, where Heyman proceeds to tell Kurt that 2018 will be the year of the beast. Well, apparently a beast's year consists of like 8 days, because we've seen Brock Lesnar 10 times tops in the last 365 days. Okay, 365 days, this boy showed up for work 10 days. That's less than 1%. So, I don't see how it's going to be the year of the beast when the beast spends most of his time lugging around logs, chasing Sasquatches off his property, and trying to inflate that dried up windbag he's married to. Which, have you seen Sable recently? You want to talk about aging like milk? Oh my god. Oh. Anyways, I'm going to move on before I get sick. Excuse me. Okay. Whew. Scare there. Whew. We're okay. So then we move into Elias is in the ring, and he's singing with the Miz Taraj. The Miz Taraj should never sing. the Mistourage should never sing. I mean, they're so bad that Elias eventually is just like, okay, I got it from here. I got it from here. But they get interrupted by the Club coming out and Finn Balor coming out. And then we have the Club, the Bullet Club, if you will, versus the Elias-Tourage. It doesn't work as well. Anyway, so they have their match. And the Balor and the Club, they pick up the win. Now, we got the Bullet Club. Yay! But it was in a match that was kind of... You know, like, this isn't exactly what we had in mind when we heard the Bullet Club was coming to WWE. But then again, that's like par for the course when it comes to WWE booking. If they didn't make it, if Vince didn't make it, Vince wants to shit on it several times before he does anything with it. He just wants to make sure he shows them who's boss. And if you don't believe me, well, have a look at the way Finn's been booked, AJ's been booked in the first year, or let's see, we can go further back. What he did to Taz, what he did to Sting. God, what he did to Sting is a fucking travesty. What he did to Goldberg when Goldberg first came into WWE. I mean, Vince has this history. If he didn't make it, he wants to show you it's not that great. And then he wants to make it great and show you that he's the reason why it's great. He's a megalomaniac like that. No, don't get me wrong. The guy's a fantastic businessman, but some of the booking decisions he makes, I can't stand. So, that being said, we're going to move on now. So, after the Club, the Bullet Club, beat the Elias-Tourage, I almost said Paul Lesnar. That's their illegitimate child. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman came out. Could you imagine an illegitimate child between Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman?
No.
It'd be like Gollum on steroids. So...
terrifying.
Oh God! Speaking of terrifying, I saw a picture. I saw a picture online. It was Brock Lesnar, and apparently, his oldest daughter was in the picture next to him. And I mean, seriously, looks just like Brock. Just like take long blonde hair, like straw-colored blonde hair, plop it on top of Brock's head, and that's what his daughter looks like. And I don't mean to be mean, but between who her father is and the way she looks, she's going to be very lonely on prom night. I'm just saying. It does not look good for her. So, moving on from there. So, Lesnar and Heyman come out. Heyman cuts himself a promo. Heyman cuts a hell of a promo on this edition of Monday Night Raw. I mean, he goes in, he breaks into Latin at the end of his promo, talking about the fires of hell in Latin. I was freaking dying. But then, coincidentally enough, after Heyman goes off about the fires of hell in Latin, Kane comes out. Kind of funny how they did that. You know, it's you know. So Kane comes out and chokeslams Lesnar. Alright? And then leaves. And then they have Lesnar sit up like Taker. That I have a problem with. Lesnar getting up, I don't have a problem with. Lesnar sitting up the way Taker does, that I don't think they should have done. But in either case, Lesnar gets up. Lesnar attacks Kane. They go into this pull-apart. Now, the pull-apart was premature, I think. I think the superstars came out too early because Lesnar had barely attacked Kane. And all of a sudden, there's superstars there. So, like, I mean, I understand you want to get the pull-apart done quick so that you don't get too much of these guys going at each other. Especially seeing as how Kane and Lesnar have never had a match together. At least not in WWE. Now, if you go back to OVW, that's a different story. But I digress. Well, I can't say digress. Anyway, so So they do the pull apart, and so they get Kane to the back, and Brock he picks up. This made me laugh too, because Brock picks up the Universal Championship to hoist it above his head. He realizes it's upside down, and you can clearly see him go, shit. Flip it over, and you see him saying, that's not right, as he flips it over. Holds it back up the right way and goes, there you go. Apparently, Brock Lesnar did not get the memo Vince McMahon sent out when he started Monday Night Raw 25 years ago. When Vince went live, he said, you know what? We're going to have a new attitude. If you trip over the bottom rope on your way into the ring, you meant to do that. So apparently Lesnar didn't get the memo that he meant to hold the title up upside down. In either case. And that was how we left out on Monday Night Raw.
It's actually really cute.
Oh my God. Okay, guys, my esteemed associate has figured out what an illegitimate child between Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar would look like. And while it may make a cute baby, I'm fairly certain it would make a terrifyingly deformed, fat, steroidal, golem-like creature by the time it hit its adulthood. Had trouble with that one word there. Okay, so we're going to move into SmackDown. SmackDown opened with AJ Styles. And AJ talks, he doesn't want to point fingers, but he talks about the fact that how Sami Zayn, caused a distraction, which allowed Kevin Owens to get the win over AJ Styles the week before. And so he brings out Daniel Bryan because he wants to know if Kevin Owens will be allowed at ringside for his match with Sami Zayn that night. Daniel comes out, and Shane McMahon comes out immediately. And Shane has some issues with the way Daniel's been behaving. As do I. But, so, the long and short of it is we end up with a situation where it's going to be AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn. Not only will Kevin Owens be at ringside, but so will Shane McMahon. And so will Daniel Bryan. So, which, I mean, what could go wrong? Honestly, what could go wrong? So, from there we go right into the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championship match between Gable and Benjamin and the Usos. And, I mean, this was a great tag team match. These two teams are fantastic. I mean, I have said that I'm surprised that they have Benjamin competing in tag team action. I'm sure Benjamin wanted to do more than this when he came back, but I will also say this much. Benjamin is so good. Him and Gable work really good together. So, that being said, Gable and Benjamin win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Except they don't, because the ref fucked up. He counted a 3 count when Gable wasn't the legal man, and Jey Uso, the guy he pinned, wasn't the legal man either. So, I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with the referee's eyes, but he just, he just couldn't clearly see what happened, apparently. We had to have a senior referee come out and tell him, hey, buddy, open your eyes a little wider and see what's going on. So, he then restarted the match. And he then restarts the match. And, of course, when they restart the match that the Usos are going to win. And they do win. Now, for those of you who might be wondering why on earth do this at all, I can actually explain that. See, they're testing the popularity of Gable and Benjamin. Okay? Looking for a crowd pop. They got a crowd pop when they won, but it paled in comparison to the reaction to the crowd when they decided to restart the match, because the crowd was 100% in the camp of the Usos. So, you know, like, I don't know if Benjamin and Gable are actually going to get their run anytime soon, but when I see stuff like that, I think that's WWE testing the waters to see how people are going to respond. So, that being said, we then go to an interview with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and I muted it because I really don't want to listen to those two talk. I mean, if I want to hear a Home Depot executive and his cab driver gloat, I can just go down to my local Home Depot. I don't need to see it on my TV. So, that being said, and yes, Cabby Zayn looks like a damn cab driver. And yes, Kevin Owens looks like one of those brain-dead morons who can't tell me where to find a park in their own fucking section! When I go to Home Depot, I end up helping more people than the people in orange aprons! It is ridiculous!
Tranquilo.
You have one job!
We have kids sleeping.
This is true. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So, where was I? Oh, yes. The dipshits. So, the interview is over. I turn the sound back on. We then get Breezango versus the Bludgeon Brothers, which lasts all of about 4 seconds before the Bludgeon Brothers have completely obliterated Breezango, and the Ascension comes out to help. And the Ascension gets obliterated too because the Bludgeon Brothers are unstoppable. It's amazing the difference that a wardrobe change, a couple of hammers, and a lot of weed can do. Those two must be high to be pulling off that gimmick. I mean, they're not as high as Bray Wyatt. I mean, they're only smoking weed. Wyatt's on fucking LSD all day long, you know. And don't even ask me what Matt Hardy's on. I don't know what Matt Hardy's on. I don't know if they got a name for that yet. Oh, so we then go to the New Day backstage with Xavier Woods blindfolded, which I would imagine this is not the first time he's been blindfolded. I mean, that's the only way I can explain the footage that surfaced of him with a certain...
Must you bring that up?
Malloran challenged diva. See, him being blindfolded is the only way that makes sense to me. So, moving on from there, he's blindfolded and the other members have a surprise for him. It's pancakes! I'm fairly confident that this pancakes thing is all Big E's idea. He looks like he enjoys some pancakes. I gotta say. He looks like he likes his pancakes. So, and I'm not picking on him because the guy's not fat. I'm just saying, he looks like he likes his pancakes. I can't explain why he looks that way. He looks like he likes his pancakes. So, it's pancakes shaped like, say, in 2018, surrounded by a Cool Whip, with a candle. And they're talking about how Xavier Woods says that when he beats Aiden English and goes on to win the United States Championship in the tournament, that they will all be the WWE, gyrations involved, United, gyrations, States, gyrations, champions, gyrations. I'm going to stop you here. Xavier. This is a singles championship. You can't share it with your two little butt buddies. It is a championship. It is not a participation award that you just get to hand out. Thankfully, Rusev and English came in, and they told the New Day what they think of them, and Rusev decided to blow out Xavier's candle and steal his wish. And Xavier looked like he was going to cry. because Rusev stole his wish. I do not know what has happened in Xavier Woods' past to make him so emotionally vulnerable that the blowing out of a candle makes him want to cry. I think there might be some trauma in his childhood there. You know, perhaps there was a creepy uncle that always blew out his candles. I do not know. This is starting to sound very inappropriate, but I mean, how appropriate can it be when you start a sentence saying that Rusev blew out Xavier Woods' candle? I mean, that just sounds wrong. That sounds very inappropriate. And I'm going to move on now. So, that being said, we then go out to the ring, and Aiden English and Rusev are in the ring, and this time Rusev sings. Which is kind of funny, actually. So this time Rusev sings, and I don't know who wrote these lyrics for him, but it was kind of funny. We then went into the match, English versus Woods. Sounds like a tennis match. English versus Woods. Or golf. Anyways, long story short, Woods wins. Why does Woods win? Well, because when you got two guys helping you cheat over one guy helping you cheat, it makes sense that 2 is going to beat 1. I mean, it just, you know, numbers. Odds. Booking. So, long story short, Woods wins. We then go to an interview with Natalya and Carmella and Lana and Tamina. And they talk about the Riot Squad, and Natalya compares them to rats abandoning a sinking ship. Natalya, I wasn't aware they were abandoning your career. So, in either case, Tamina and Natalya and Carmella then have a match against the Riot Squad. Now I want to talk about the Riot Squad for just a second. The Riot Squad is composed of Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, and Liv Morgan. I have a couple of issues here. For one, actually, this is not an issue. I actually thought this is funny. Sarah Logan, who's a Southern girl, country girl, she came out with her eyes all painted up. She looked like a raccoon. Now, I think there's a reason for this. I think she painted herself up to look like a raccoon because she just really wanted to scare the piss out of that vegan pussy Daniel Bryan. I think that's why she did it. I mean, she already got in his face about game food, asking him if he's ever had game food, which, I mean, he don't eat meat. I don't know why the hell he don't eat meat. I mean, the boy definitely needs some protein in his diet. Other than... Never mind. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. So, I think that's why she painted herself up like a raccoon. I think she really wanted to scare the little vegan. And going from there, Liv Morgan. Have y'all seen Liv Morgan? Tell me Liv Morgan do not look like a generic Alexa Bliss. Why? You know, actually, I won't say generic Alexa Bliss. She looks like Alexa Bliss and Carmella had a baby, and instead of taking care of it, they kicked it down a flight of stairs. That's what Liv Morgan looks like. And as for Ruby Riott, I think we know what happened to the Penguin's illegitimate daughter now, don't we? Have you seen this chick? You want to find a guy that Ruby Riott's made out with? Look for the guy with the eye patch. Because her nose been taking eyes out since high school, son. No. 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 Alright, so, moving on.
One more time.
No. The Riot Squad wins. Logan got the pin on Tamina, which actually I will applaud this choice because I don't really feel like it hurts Tamina. I feel like it builds Logan. They want to build her as the powerhouse of their team, which makes sense because she looks like the powerhouse of their team. You know, she definitely looks like she's got some power to her. When she was in Daniel Bryan's face, I was fairly certain she could kick his ass. Although, from what I understand, Brie Bella kicks his ass, so, you know, that doesn't really say much. But, still, this made Logan look very, very strong. And from there, the Ruby Riott decides to cut herself a promo after winning, claiming that there's no such thing as magic, because they're in Orlando. Magic Kingdom, Yeah. It's not the only reference. The announcers made some references, but we're not going to get into that. And then Charlotte comes out, and Charlotte, she has a little promo of her own. Wants to introduce Ruby to reality. Brings out Naomi, who, congrats to Naomi, for the 3rd week in a row, she did not get lost at a nightclub. She actually made it to work. I'll be damned. Maybe she does have a sense of direction. Or maybe not. No. And then they brought out Becky Lynch, so Becky's back. I don't know where Becky went, but Becky's back. Maybe Becky got lost in a potato farm. I don't know. But she didn't bring any potatoes back with her, so she must have ate them. Moving on from there, we then get the Charlotte, Becky, and Naomi. Almost said Natalia. No, this is a different sucky performer. This is Naomi. And they rush the ring, and they beat up the Riot Squad. And the Riot Squad has to take a powder. And of course, all of this is going to help to build for the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, what I don't know is who is going to face Charlotte, or Alexa for that matter, at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, because they're the champions. They won't be involved in the Royal Rumble match. There's no reason they should be. So, that being said, we then go to the main event. And the main event is, as I mentioned earlier, AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn, with Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, and Shane McMahon at ringside. So, during the course of this match, there was an instance where Sami and AJ were outside. Kevin looked like he was going to move in to do something disparaging, and Shane McMahon made moves to go at Kevin, and Daniel got in between the two of them. Okay, it's all well and good. During the course of the scuffle between AJ and Sami, the referee got dumped to the outside. Now, AJ got the pin on Sami, and the ref was trying to get back into the ring, and Kevin Owens was blocking the ref's way under the guise of trying to make sure the ref was okay. And of course, that's not what Kevin was doing. Kevin was stopping the ref so the ref couldn't make the count, giving Sami a chance to kick out, which Sami did. This infuriated Shane McMahon, and Shane shoved Owen on his ass, and Owens bounced a few times. He didn't, but it's a funny visual if you think about it. So, in either case, Shane shoved Kevin down. He had the referee throw Kevin out. Daniel Bryan, this little hobbit latte-serving, non-bathing bastard, decides to get on the microphone and tell Shane, if you are kicking Kevin out, why don't you leave too? Son, this is your boss. Who the fuck you talking to? This is your boss. People, do not learn from Daniel Bryan's example. If you talk to your boss like that, your ass is getting fired. In the real world, people get fired for that shit. Hell, they get fired for less. Fire the little hobbit bastard. Let him walk his precious to fucking Mordor alone. I don't even know if anybody's going to get those references, but damn it, I made them. So, anyways, so while Shane was distracted by Daniel, Kevin distracted AJ. AJ gets hit with the Huluva kick, and Sami gets the pin. There is no world in which the guy who delivered me to the airport for Uber should beat the WWE champion. There is no world in which that should happen. This is a lily-white, ginger-haired, Arabic-speaking travesty.
Calm, sir.
I'm calm. So, in either case, AJ's had enough. AJ gets on the microphone. He insults Kevin and Sammy for not being able to do anything on their own. He tells Shane and AJ to quit bickering like children. And he says, you know what, if this is the way you want it to be, let's just, just make a match. Make a handicap match between me and them. Now, AJ meant for the next episode of SmackDown, or in general. But no. This is how devious and arrogant and biased Daniel Bryan is. Daniel Bryan makes a handicap match. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the WWE Championship. AJ has to defend his WWE Championship in a handicap match. Not even a triple threat match. No, a handicap match. Wow. Now, I'm going to take you back in time. I'm going to take you back in time to when the brand split first happened. Well, this brand split first happened. And we found out that Daniel Bryan was the general manager of SmackDown. I have been saying since day one that Daniel Bryan abuses his power, is biased, and shows favoritism. He puts his sister-in-law in high-profile matches when she's been gone for a fucking year. He takes out his personal vendetta on the Miz when the Miz was still there. Ended up making the Miz go to Raw because Miz just did not want to deal with the furry little hobbit bastard anymore. But he does this. He is one of the most biased general managers I've ever seen. I mean, damn. He's as bad. He's as bad, at least as bad, as Stephanie McMahon. But the problem here is everybody hates Stephanie McMahon. And you know what? I'll give her credit because at least she's upfront about it. No, he's a sneaky little fucking bastard about it. He has everybody liking him, and they still remember liking him from when he was a performer, which I never liked him from when he was a performer because he reminded me of that guy who gave me a latte instead of coffee, and I got sick because I don't know what the hell is in a latte. I think he dunked his freaking disgusting hippie dreadlock in my latte, and I got sick. Very, very sick. I was very sick. Freaking hippie latte. Blech, blech. No. No, Daniel. No. What was I saying?
You need to calm down.
What was I saying? I am calm. I am calm. So. Hold on.
Yeah, you seem like it.
What did you say? Anyways, so I have been saying this since day one. Okay? I've never liked Daniel Bryan. I've never liked him. He's always struck me as this snake in the grass, horrible person. Okay? And now he's finally showing his true colors. So, he has put AJ in this position. All I can do is hope that AJ can come out of this position, but with them stacking the deck the way they do, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how many SmackDowns we have between now and then, so maybe Shane can fix this. Maybe Shane can fix this insanity. Maybe Shane should do what he should have done in the beginning, and that is fire Kevin, fire Sammy, and now fire Daniel. Come on, Shane. Where's that where are the McMahon grapefruit, son? Your daddy wouldn't put up with this shit. They'd be in the unemployment line so fast their heads would spin. Okay, Shane, say it with me. Say it with me. Ready, 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 ready. Two little words. You're fired. It's not that hard. If you need help, you got daddy, you got your sister, they can teach you how.
part of the story.
I don't like it. It's a bad story.
I'm sure they don't care.
Fucking SJW bullshit.
Calm your tits.
Alright. Alright. Let's move on to midgets on trampolines, shall we? So, this week on Midgets on Trampolines, which, full disclosure, I haven't actually been able to watch Midgets on Trampolines for a month. But I checked in. So, and we start off with TJP versus Tozawa.
Midgets on trampolines?
Yes.
How disrespectful.
Would you prefer minis?
Yes.
You would prefer minis on trampolines. Well, minis is what they call them in Mexico. And, sorry, but it's pro wrestling. We call them, they call them midgets in pro wrestling. I mean, they've always called them midgets in pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is not really meant to be politically correct. If you don't believe me, you can go back to when John Cena had his rapper gimmick, and Vince McMahon walked up to Cena, gave him dap, and proceeded to say, "My ninja," except he didn't say ninja. You know what he said.
Yeah.
And walk away. Walked right past Booker T, who's standing there. You know, Charmel's got to pick up his eyeballs because that's how wide his eyes got. You know, pro wrestling has never been politically correct, nor should it be. You know, when you political correctness takes the fun out of things. Come on, just let us have fun, okay? So, midgets on trampolines. TJP versus Tozawa. Great match, it really was. I love watching guys like Tozawa and Hideo Itami work. Tozawa with those kicks, like, I like agility. I do. I'm not the biggest fan of Lucha Libre style because I don't like all the flippy, useless bullshit. But those martial arts style kicks that you get out of Japanese performers and performers who do strong style, that I am a big fan of. That I like. So, that being said, TJP wins the match by the skin of his teeth. It was a great match. I'd love to see it again. We move into Cedric Alexander and Goldust in the locker room, which apparently these two teamed on Raw. I didn't see that because the episode of Raw I watched never seems to have any of the cruiserweight stuff in it. I don't know why, because I don't watch on the day because I can't because of my schedule. So I end up watching afterwards, and for whatever reason, the cruiserweight shit's never in it. So that being said, Cedric and Goldust. Now, I'm gonna ask a question for a second because I'm beginning to think. You know what? This is all I'm gonna say. I am beginning to think that Goldust, Mr. Dustin Rhodes, has a certain something in common with his ex-wife that I really never needed to know about. And I'm going to leave it at that, and if you know what I'm talking about, good for you, but I'm not elaborating on that any further. So we then move on to to Jack Gallagher coming out to the ring, cutting a promo on Hideo Itami, referring to Itami as a maimer because he shattered Kendrick's orbital socket and nose, which the footage of that, yeah, he really did a number on Kendrick. So, in either case, we get Gallagher versus Itami, which lasted not very long because Gallagher turned around and took a lead pipe to Hideo Itami and really beat him from pillar to post with that lead pipe and then just left. We then have an interview with Gulak, Drew Gulak and Arya Daivari, who were saying that they weren't ready for Goldust on Monday Night Raw the night before, and while they're talking, Goldust walks up behind them. Now, funny story is, like, you get a feel for just how small these cruiserweights are when you put them next to Goldust. Because Goldust, while he's a tall guy, he's not the biggest guy, okay? But he dwarfs these cruiserweights. Like, he really makes them look little. I would also like to take a moment to say a few words of respect for the career of Goldust, which is apparently now over because they have shipped Goldust's 235, 240 pound ass to 205 Live.
What?
Yeah. Goldust appeared on 205 Live. They've got him working a story where he's going to be Cedric Alexander's friend. He's Cedric's special friend. So, apparently, they have no idea what to do with Goldust, so much to the point that they have shipped him to the land of the little people. Kind of sad. Really is kind of sad. In either case, moving on, Drew Gulak and Arya Daivari versus Cedric Alexander and Goldust. This match had a lot of ha-ha in it, I gotta tell you. So, that being said, Cedric Alexander and Goldust did pick up the win in this match-up. Alright, and that was the end of 205 Live. So what have we learned today? In short, we've learned a couple of things. We've learned that Goldust's career is pretty much over. We've learned that Goldust apparently has a certain fetish. We have learned that Daniel Bryan is a horrible abuser of power. We've learned that there are, for whatever reason, people who are actually on the side of Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Daniel Bryan in this, which I don't understand. I mean, how morally bankrupt do you have to be for you to think that any of this is okay? I just don't understand that. You know? I mean, I know I'm making jokes and everything, but seriously, like, in what world is any of this acceptable? Oh. We've learned that Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar would make a horribly ugly, illegitimate child. We've learned that. What else have we learned today? We have learned that... Oh... I'm learning right now that Shawn Michaels was special guest referee for a match between Adam Cole and Drew McIntyre, which I never caught that match before. Oh, but that is going to be it for me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Drop into that comment section. Tell me, am I way off? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I an asshole? Tell me. I can take it. Thick skin. So, that being said, hit subscribe if you want to be alerted every time I hop on the interweb to spill my
Crap?
My ether into the internet. Oh yeah. My Macho Man is horrible.
It's not that bad.
But hit the subscribe button. I come to you every Wednesday, more or less, and I will bring you WWE booking from a unique point of view. I will bring you moral standings. I will bring you geological DNA experiments concerning a top performer and his mouthpiece. I don't know. I'm running out of euphemisms. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Ken Carnage, and Carnage is right around the corner.